So appointing a corporate ethics officers, that what is his motive, and he should be well respected senior level manager who reports directly to the CEO. So his basically objective is to ensure all that ethical practices and procedures are just going on, and everyone is being responsible to performing all of the duties according to the ethical behavior, according to the ethical method trainings that are being given to them. So he can complain, or and it's not like only the owners are responsible. So like different people can be that responsible. Like these rules are not just implemented on the individuals. So it the all of the rules must be implemented to every one of to every member, every designation of that an organization. So ethical standards, who set those ethical standards, those rules? They are set normally by the board of directors. And who are they? There you must have term you must have read the term or have heard it, that board of governors, board of conduct. So these are that higher officials that are actually responsible for managing all of the activities within an organization. They all are responsible for being for carried out for carrying out all of the rules and regulations, and is everyone following it? And for that they should himself as well, they should himself practice as well, so that they may actually lead an example, so that all of the juniors, all of their employees may also uh, work and follow all these rules and regulations set by the board of governors and board of directors. So they are expected to conduct themselves according to the highest standards of personnel, and they should compliance with the laws and regulations, and they must create in such an environment that is perfectly and trying their level best to follow business conduct and following the best ethical strategies. And they may also raise issues and may also report misconduct anywhere at any time if they have just failed to the board of governors. Now, establishing a corporate code of ethics, like highlighting any organization's key ethical issues. Okay, what are that code of ethics that are being defined here? So, identifies overarching values and the important principles, focuses employees on area of ethical risk, guidance of our employees to recognize and deal with. So they are being trained for every kind of given scenario, every kind of given problem, that how to do with the ethical problem that are scheduled for the employees, so not only for the employees, but everyone, right? Junior will also have to practice when board of governors will practice. So he may also can report as well, and help. You must also have to help your employees abide by the law, follow necessary regulations, and behave in an ethical manner. So these all are important to follow. These all are important and have a great importance as well. And they must, everyone must complete and must follow these regulations for to continue to work in a good manner. These codes of ethics. So that is an act of 2002. So what of they and an act in 2002 was passed that even enacted in response to public outrage, several major county scandals. There were lots of scandals going round about there. So there was actually became a law in 2002, and under that 404 section, that what was that requires that CEO and CFO sign any SEC filing to attest to its accuracy. And another section according to 406 section requires public companies to disclose whether or not they have a code of ethics, and if they have waivers to that code may be granted. It means that when any company, any organization, any educational system, or any of that company, they actually pass an audit. They actually pass an audit, and for it actually, what is that? It is actually you can say it is actually an assessment. It is actually a review method. It is actually a review system, assessment method, that the what is actually being going on. What is if you have any good businesses, that you should conduct social audit of an organization. And if there is any signature mark, if you are signing any kind of document, any kind of signatures you are doing after a document, including all of the details, it means that signed you have fully signed to that document. You agree with all of the terms and conditions that are being written there. You are responsible for following, for practicing of all of that things that are being mentioned inside the document, right? So similarly, people, organization, they also when there is an edge sign at the very end of an HOD, like head of department, or CEO, which is actually the company executive officer, like he is responsible. So if any illegal activity or illegal act is going on under his observation, and he has actually signed at the very end of the documentation, and he has actually forwarded to that these documents to that for example higher education commission, for that higher officials maybe. So they can actually take any step, they can take any action against that CEO, that if any kind of wrong information being forward to the HEC, being forward to the higher officials, being forward to that government higher officials, after this being after the signature of that CEO at the very end, that he actually declared, and he said that I am responsible for all the duties, for all the things that are being written inside here. But some employees may have done something wrong, something illegal act. So there can be like he is the responsible for all. So he should have a check, keep a check, and he should keep an inspection. As I have said, there was an they keep the like they actually audit team. There is actually your financial audit as well. That is actually, you can say, the statement of the organization. And the people the financially, there is also a financial audit as well, that is the financial assessment as well, that we are about to purchase the lab equipments, like how many computers, how many resources, these are like number of students, number of number of facilitate resources to the students, fine, number of air conditioners, like oh, how much we are going to facilitate in this way. So what can be the possible outcomes, how we are going to facilitate our customers, how we are going to facilitate our society, how we are going to facilitate our audience, our public, right? So what is actually our annual plan, annual strategy, annual plan, um, annual requirements, annual serious layouts to carry it out in an upcoming year, and what can be an estimated roundabout cost according to it, that one should have to what can be that possible outcome expenses in it. So cannot gain company-wide acceptance unless it is developed with an employee participation, fully endorsed by the organization's leadership, as I have told you. That it should be everyone should have to follow it, and it should be according to the So here fully endorsed by the organization's leadership, as I have told you that he said that I am responsible for all the actions and reactions. So he must apply to the company decision making and emphasizes the parts of his culture. So breaches in the code of ethics must be identified and dealt with appropriately. So there are people, there are government people. They keep on assessment. They keep on check the different organizations, their officers. So moving onwards, establishing a corporate code of ethics. So here, what are the code of ethics? For example, in this case, in this scenario, they said that there is an example of an Intel is a company. Okay, so if I am an employee of an Intel, so what can be that code of ethics being an employee to that company? So Intel conducts business with honesty and integrity. One should be very loyal with his job, with all the responsibilities being given to him, and with all the regulations that everyone should have to follow equally and should be treated very fairly, right? So Intel follows the letter and the spirit of the law. So like each and every one is being should be treated very energetically, like he should have the spirit for that. He should be loyal, he should be working, he should have like training part, should have all that responsibilities to do for carried out, and he should also have all that knowledge of the activities that are basically legal. And Intel employees treat each other fairly. Okay, fine. There should not be any personal commitments or personal like consequences or any kinds of things like that. So one should be very fairly judged. One should be fairly deal with your colleagues, with your employees, and with every one of it. And Intel employees act in the best interest of the Intel, um, and avoid conflicts of interest. Now, what this point is, act in the best interest of the Intel and avoid conflicts of interest. To them, their company is much important or is most important. Their reputation, their respect, what the response you are giving to the customer, what kind of information you are having it, and how you are actually dealing with all of the people. Uh, like it may be your colleague, right? Or it can be like any of that member that may happen that may happen maybe that maybe your cousin, maybe your family member, but he's also an employee of that. So you don't need to be so personal with it regarding any kind of matter. So just conflict of interest, just forget about all of that things. The thing is you have to be fair, um, you have to respect, and you have to deal with every one of the member fairly, and irrespective of the personal consequences and the relations. So next point is Intel employees protect the company's assets and their reputation. Okay. So protect the company's assets and reputation. When you are a part of that company, you are loyal, you are sincere, you have signed a document, you had an agreement with them, like you have agreed to all of the terms and conditions that they have asked you for, you are ready for your responsibilities and things. And similarly, you also have declared that you will protect their assets and their reputation as well. It means that their assets, you would take it as your assets at that time personally. because it really matters, because your company is actually, like, if you are working in a company, it means you are a part of it. So take it as your own assets, and take it as your own reputation, because it can, you can say that it really matters. their, their reputation really matters to you. You should be loyal, and you should not like do you can have all of that confidential information of your brand, of your organization. And for example, you are providing that kind of confidential information to any of that member, to maybe any competitors, to maybe any of the person that outside of that company. And or you can also, you can say that you have provided that private information of their products information, their any kind of protected and private information of their company to the any of that people all around who can harm them, who can give harm to that company or their publicity, or who can actually make a competitor, uh, who can give them a tough time for that competition and all that. So you are not at all allowed to do that, because you are own, because you are working and you should have been loyal to them. And for that kind, if someone is, you have caught someone while just misusing your company's assets, or your company's reputation, so you should also report it as well. Because any kind of things like going against your company, you should take an action. And for these kinds of purpose, your company actually provide you, protect you, and give you respect. And they may secure your job position as well, your name and your confidential information, as well as also as a resource that you have uh, report them, to keep it confidential, so that it won't be a big problem for the people. And in your offices and your daily dealing problems, right? So these were all the five conduct code of ethics. Like for example, in the Intel case, the the social audit, as I have told you, conducting social audits, that is actually the reviewing process. And when everyone is being acknowledges, everyone is being told about that methodology, about the methods, about the reviewing process, about the assessment process, then one should be careful that any time there can be an audit, and we have to actually give answers to all of the questions that they will ask us about the strategy, about the methods, um, about the schemes, about the outcomes, right? What are the objectives, what we have planned for, what are the improvements we have we have this year comparatively to the previous year. What are the facilitating points, what are the facilitating services we are providing to the customers, to our audience, our public, our students, our things, our people. um, like so there is actually a fair, there should be a fair process in dealing with all of that. So the officer who will come for an audit, he should also be fair with all of the reviewing process. He should fairly judge, he should fairly ask the employees. And they actually do that, they actually ask employees, they actually ask students, like audience, customers, about their any kind of problem, what kind of problem they are facing, what are the issues they are having, and what is still an issue, what is what kind of problems are not being solved yet. So reviews how well organization is meeting ethical and social responsibility goals, and communicates new goals for the upcoming years. And employees, shareholders, investors, customers, suppliers, government agencies, and local communicators, these all are that part of that audit part. appointing a corporate ethics officers, that what is his motive, and he should be well respected senior level manager who reports directly to the CEO. So his basically objective is to ensure all that ethical practices and procedures are just going on, and everyone is being responsible to performing all of the duties according to the ethical behavior, according to the ethical method trainings that are being given to them. So he can complain, or and it's not like only the owners are responsible. So like different people can be that responsible. Like these rules are not just implemented on the individuals. So it the all of the rules must be implemented to every one of to every member, every designation of that an organization. Critical that training increase the percentage of employees who report incidents of misconduct. So employees must learn effective ways of reporting incidents. Be reassured their feedback will be acted on without retaliation. As I have told you that their security, their job security, and should be assured also. And the company also have actually a method also to properly follow it, properly carried out all of the steps, and they should inspect it. They should there is actually a mechanism by which all of the employees have gone through before being practical and before being um, dealing with the customers. So next is including ethical criteria in employees appraisals. So where there is a company's audit on the annual basis, like assessment, na company's assessment based upon the upon all the progress what the organization have done in the past year. So similarly, there is an individual assessment also that is being like in a form of employees appraisal. So for that kind of things, uh, his performance, his conduct, his way of management, his smartness, his all of the things like 43% of the companies include ethical conduct in the employees' performance appraisal, right? So, what kind of ethical criteria they can may include treating others fairly and with respect, okay, operating effectively, multicultural environment. One should have any environment with a different cultures, with a different background, with the people, with the black and the white. So they are being trained how to deal with it. One should deal with fairness with all of the people, irrelevant of their religion, of their color, complexion, like black and white in America. So accepting personal accountability, continually developing themselves and others. They should keep on trying to groom themselves. They should keep on trying to make them better and better and better. They should have a morale, they should have an energy, they should have an enthusiasm to keep working on and making providing best services and making themselves better and better with the passage of time towards the customers, towards the people, towards everyone all around, operating openly and honestly with all. So these all of the things that and creating an ethical and work environment. So that were all about that training and being following the code of ethics, but creating an ethical work environment all as well. So who actually is responsible for creating any such kind of environment, and how you may create it? Good employees may make bad ethical choices. So may be encouraged to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Like, it can be that possibility. They are good, they are doing good, but they may have some bad intention somewhere, or they had some kind of bad ethical choices. So employees need a knowledgeable resource to discuss perceived and ethical practices. A manager, legal or internal audit department, business unit, legal counsel, and any anonymously, like without knowing anyone through the interns. We first of all the ethics. So for that, there are basically kind of different rules that each and every people, every human, or in a society, some rules and are have been set, right? So they are used to be known as that. What are that rules? So moral code, and what are that morality? Morality, if you have a sense between based upon that kinds of rules, if you are have a sense to differentiate between right thing and wrong thing. So these rules can help you to identify a wrong person from a good, like from a right person, uh, from a wrong person. So these are important to understand what are the ethics. Including ethical considerations in the decision making. So, what are the decision ethical considerations in decision making? Steps in the decision making process: develop problem statement, identify alternatives, and evaluate and choose alternatives. Implement decisions, evaluate results and success. Right. So, what there are lots of can be that possibilities why when you have to take a decision, and while taking a decision there are some kind of decision making process. So first of all, like all of the points are being firstly the one should be clear about what is the problem, right? First, when you realize a problem, when you identify a problem, then you can find a solution. So concise description of the issue. What caused the people to think there is a problem, and who is directly affected by the problem? Is there anyone else affected? How often does it occur? What is the impact of the problem? How serious is this problem? And most critical in decision making process. Okay, the problem statement is actually a decision making process, like a critical step to identify and to answer these kinds of questions, that whether what kind of problem it is serious or no, and it can be affected and all. After developing a problem statement, like example of a good problem statement, like any organization is continually running out of stock of the finished products and creating an out of stock situation on over 15% of our customers' orders, resulting in over 300 thousand dollars sales per month, right? So, like, when should you take an action of good problem statement? Examples of a poor problem: you need to implement a new inventory control system, possible solution, not a problem statement, right? We need to implement a new inventory system. We have a problem with the finished product inventory, right? So, we should be clearly about the statements. So many companies share the following rules that they apply. They work with honesty and integrity. Different according to the standards of ethical conduct and words and action. Treat colleagues, customers with respect. You should honor them, strive to the best all that matters to the company, value diversity, and make decisions based on the impacts. And what are the common approaches to the ethical decision making? So, approach to the dealing with the moral issues and what are the principles. So, one we have different approaches. We will discuss it. Virtue ethics approach है, utilitarian approach है, fairness approach and common good approach. So each and every different each and different approach has its own actually principle that are being defined here, that what to deal with it and how to deal with the decision making things and processes following the approaches. Uh, so second, as I have told you, that creating an organization that operates consistently. So, like as I've said consistently, it's not about like only customer services. It's not like only the good quality, maybe providing very good quality but not the better services, but vice versa. No better providing very better services, but so the quality is not good. So it's really very bad. It really it has a bad impact on your business. So not only the customer service, but also what is the production, what are the designs, what are the quality, what is the quality. So you should be dynamically act in this kind of behavior, and it's best for the organization and the company also. So your customer behavior should also be very good, um, towards each other, towards the customers, towards the employer, avoiding unfavorable publicity. So, organizations are motivated to build strong ethics programs to avoid negative publicity. So, how the people, how their employees are doing, how they are doing, performing their performances, their how they are carrying out their services, it's all really matters. And what is actually the by which sources they are publicize their marketing, their market, their digital marketing, they are publicizing, they are doing work on the ads and publicizing. So what are the real sources, what are the activities, what are the ethical based activities that one should be, that everyone is following. And so such kinds of facts and such kinds of, now what is here, what is the fairness approaches? Fairness approach, in which you have to fairly distribution, you have to fairly distribute with all of the people. there is a fairness. You should have fairness in dealing with all of the people, like, right, in all of your principles and dealing with all with the people. So, and like all other approaches, it also have the purpose and risk. Good common approach. Common good approach is what, like, very common to when you people are like following it and having an intentions to work with all of that in a good way, in easy way, to carry out all of that things in a good manner, in a positive manner, and to work with all together with all of the people by setting all of the rules. What are the common approaches to the ethical decision making? So, approach to the dealing with the moral issues and what are the principles. So, one, we have different approaches. We will discuss it. Virtue ethics approach है, utilitarian approach है, fairness approach and common good approach. So each and every different each and different approach has its own actually principle that are being defined here. That ethics in the information technology. But ethics regarding to the information technology, what can be that ethics? One should be very careful about it. You can have that different kinds of problems and things. Emailing, internet accessing, monitoring, should be careful about it. Uh, Violation of the copyright laws, that one should who is having working on IT kind of department, we should have knowledge and about that all of the ethics, and we should also follow all of that ethical things, that none of the unethical rules must may be violated, like in violation of copyright laws. So unsolicited email like spamming, we have already discussed. Hackers and identity theft, students and their plagiarisms, cookies and spywares, we have already discussed it. So where one can have, one can face all of that things, and feel one should have knowledge and IT also, and working people working with that IT department, they should have all knowledge with all of that ethical things, and which are the ethical and what are the unethical. So that is an act of 2002. So what of they, and an act in 2002 was passed that even enacted in response to public outrage, several major conflict scandals. There were lots of scandals going round about there. So there was actually became a law in 2002, and under that code. So, what is the goal of that text? The goal of the text is to educate people about the tremendous impact of the ethical issues in successful and secure, and recognize, after recognizing the issues when making business decisions, and to provide the tools, approaches, and user insights for the best ethical. So this is all about the summary is goodwill of the community, create an organization, the consistent performance of everyone, and to keep working with the business practices, and the protect an organization and its employees against legal action, and provide unfavorable consequences. So require successful ethical programs, and the officers ensures ethical procedures are installed or followed. Most of us have developed a simple decision making model that includes 5 steps. Considerations must be incorporated after developing a problem statement. Like example of a good problem statement, like any organization is continually